Since solving the 3x3 alone is no longer, I don't know, intellectually stimulating for us cubers, we decided to make lives harder for ourselves. For example, blindfolded events, multi-blind, fewest moves challenge. But personally, my favorite modification to the original 3x3 cube is the OH event, or one-handed. I think this event is extremely spectator friendly, and it doesn't take that much longer than an average 3x3 solve. So if you already know how to solve a 3x3, this is the video for you to get started on OH. I want to address the two most common misconceptions about one-handed before we get started. First of all, even though most of us are right-hand dominant, we actually want to solve OH with our left, simply because most of the moves involved in solving a 3x3 are R's and U's. Those are the two most common moves. And if you hold the cube in your left hand, you give your left pointer the control over the U layer, and then your pinky over the R layer. And you can actually go pretty fast with just those two fingers. However, if you have the cube in your right hand, this R and this U become way less comfortable. Another common misconception is that you need your cube to be faster for OH. I actually find that to be not true at all. Just because when you're solving two-handed, you have more fingers and control over the entire cube, so that speed is not necessarily that big of an issue. However, if you're solving one-handed, you have less control over the cube, and overshooting can be a very, very serious problem. So I would go for a medium fast cube with a higher control ability. Let's get into why we all love watching fast OH solvers solve. How are they turning the cube that fast? Well, one-handed turning, it's actually quite different from two-handed turning, so let's take a deeper look at the finger tricks involved. So again, I've mentioned before, the U's and U primes are controlled by your pointer finger on your left hand. So a U will be a reverse flick. You have to reach around the cube and then flick the layer in the U direction, and then U prime is pretty straightforward and intuitive. You would just flick forward, and then U2, which sometimes you may want to use, but not all the time, will be just like that, pretty normal. The R and the R primes are where people run into a bunch of problems. The R layer is controlled by your pinky, which is, well, our weakest finger. So R is pretty straightforward as well. We'll just flick our pinky forwards. However, R prime is the hardest finger trick for beginners to master on OH. For R prime, you have to reach your pinky all the way around and then flick the layer back down. This did hurt when I first started, so be patient and keep on trying, don't give up, and eventually you'll strengthen that muscle. And then F's are another common issue. We want to generally avoid F's simply because in one-handed, F's are kind of difficult to do, so we want to minimize F's in F2L especially. But you can either do a pinch move like that, and then for an F, I will usually use my thumb to push the layer, or I'll grab the layer with my thumb and do an F prime like that. And then some people wonder, what about L moves, right? Then you kind of run into the same problem as R moves with the right hand. However, what we can do is actually do a Z rotation to do L moves. So now L would just be the same as U and U prime, and we'll get into that as we hit F2L. I almost forgot about D moves because, well, honestly, they are kind of rare in OH solving. However, in last layers, we do use D moves. D moves is pretty straightforward. A D prime would just be a forward ring, and then a D, we have to push back with our ring finger like that, and then D2, we generally just run our ring and pinky along for the D2. All right, two more concepts before we get into some examples and talking about last layer. So concept number one is, what method do we need to solve a cube OH? You can actually just use CFOP for OH, which is what most cubers do. However, some very advanced OH solvers do use RU to achieve better times because of the fewer turns and rotations. However, you do need to learn how to table abuse extremely well and move the M slice. And as you can see, that is not for me, so I'm sticking with CFOP. And you've heard the term already, but table abuse, you can actually use the table. You can drop the cube down to help with rotations, or you can even force M slices if you wish. But what I'm going to show you guys won't require you guys to force the M slices. So let's get on to an F2L example. First, we have to set up the corner back here, and then insert this edge back there with R, U prime, R prime. So that R prime is that reverse pinky flick that is very difficult for beginners. And then I'll probably rotate and then do a U with a reverse pointer, and then right side up with the pinky, reverse, and then reverse pinky flick. So that's our first pair. And then I'm thinking we could do this pair, even though it's not that good. So for some lefty moves here, I will rotate it in a Z-axis again, and then use R and U's to solve this pair. And then remember your reverses. And then I'll probably flick twice with pinky because I don't really like the R2 finger trick. It's kind of weird for me and it isn't fast. And then we can open the slot with a U prime instead of forcing ourselves in this orientation to do L prime. We'll do a U prime and then insert with R and then U for a pair on the left. And this pair we can actually do keyhole because this corner is solved. So first I'll probably do a ring push. D move, D prime, yeah, D prime move like that, and then we'll insert this edge here with R, U, R prime, and then the R prime is the reverse pinky, and then just a straightforward D with a ring flick, and then wow, that leaves us with a terrible case, but I guess we can show some F moves. If you want to do F moves in this case, you can do a sledgehammer, and then I'll grab the F with my thumb, and then reverse, and then solve this pair, which is 2 gen. And then U2, you could do a U2 or you can do U2 flick. I don't find it making that big of a difference for me at least. And then just insert a pair with R, U prime, R prime. And remember your reverse flicks. So that's our F2L example. So for last layer algorithms, I'm not going to go into any specifics. If you guys would like to see exactly what I use, you can leave a comment and I'll think about making some of those videos. Yes, there are repeated algorithms that you can use both for two-handed and one-handed. However, you do have to relearn a decent chunk of algorithms just so that they're optimized for OH, simply because those algorithms avoid F moves, which are pretty easy with two hands, yet very difficult with one, and focus instead more on L's and some wide moves and U moves, which are easier with one hand. So yeah, I'm just going to wrap up the solve, and let me know if you guys want to see specifics for any of these algorithms. So that alg will be the same for both hands, and then Y perm. I just use a two-handed one because I'm pretty comfortable with F moves, but if you're not, there are other replacements. So I will link some resources from JPerm and other channels in the description, and if you guys would like to see more of what I use, then let me know. Some final thoughts. Guys, please enjoy the cubing process. This is something so precious that we rarely get. Cubing is just so unrelated from, work, school, life in general, and we can just enjoy it for the sake of doing it. There's no other reason why we're here. And of course, don't stress out about learning everything in one day. Learn them chunk by chunk, and if your pinky hurts too much, take a break. We don't want injuries here. And I wish you all the best on your OH journey.